Hey everyone, welcome to Ember Blake Writes. I'm Ember Blake and I make videos about writing and my journey towards becoming a published author. Today I'm coming at you with an original tag. I've been working on this for a few months now and it kind of combines two of my great loves. One being writing, the other being personality assessments. I've been fascinated with this kind of thing since I was a kid. And ever since I had my first Myers Briggs test back when I was in college, I've been fascinated with that test in particular because I think it has an interesting way of categorizing people in so that there's no negatives. So just because you think a certain way does not mean that you are less than the other one. They're just different. So I thought I would combine these two into a tag and it's called the personality type tag, and we are going to be kind of discussing my personality type and also how that pertains to my writing. So let's go. Question 1, what is your Myers-Briggs personality type? For those of you that are watching this and are not familiar with your type, there is a website called 16 Personalities where you can go and take a free test to determine what your personality type is. My personality type is INFJ-T, which stands for introverted, intuitive, feeling, judging. And then the T stands for turbulent. Basically what my personality type means is that introverted means that I tend to prefer to it's not that I'm like completely a shut-in or anything like that, but I do find crowds and things like that to be very stressful. And I find that I'm a lot more comfortable when I'm around people that I'm familiar with. And I do enjoy, obviously, like having a nice chill time, like reading a book or playing video games or something by myself. Intuitive means generally that I can see the broader picture, but I'm less detail oriented. So a really good example that they did when I was first taking the test is they actually did it when I was where I was working, and they had all of us interns take the test, and then we all got together and we were divided into groups based on our personality type and tasked with doing things. My group, the intuitive group, both groups were tasked with how do you make spaghetti. So like our group was like, you boil the water, you put the pasta in, you let it cook, and then it's done. But the other group, the one that's sensing and not intuitive, they just have a lot more, they're very, very detail oriented. So they were like, you get out your pot, you put the water in, you put it on the stove, you turn the stove on, just like all of the detailed points. So they're different, you know, it's obviously good to have people that are on the big picture and then also people that are more detail oriented. The third line, my F, which stands for feeling, that tends to be how you make decisions. So I tend to make decisions based on my gut feeling and what will create the most harmony, and I make a lot of decisions based on what will make people feel better versus like what is the more logical choice. And then the last thing, which is judging, the alternative to that is perceiving. And basically what this letter means, judging is not really a good word for it, but it basically just means like you are better, you're more organized, you like to plan things versus being spontaneous. And like every other thing in this test, both have their pros and cons. Okay, question 2. According to the 16 Personalities website, what is your personality type's strength and weaknesses? So I'm going to just kind of run through these. So most personality types have 5 or 6 strengths and 5 or 6 weaknesses. So I'll just kind of run through these and not spend a lot of time on them because you could very easily spend a lot of time going into the details of these strengths and weaknesses. So for my strengths, I am creative, insightful, inspiring and convincing, decisive, determined and passionate, and altruistic. And then for my weaknesses, I'm sensitive, I'm extremely private, I'm perfectionistic, I always need to have a cause, and I can burn out easily. Question 3, do you feel like the test is accurate? If so, what's correct? And if not, what's not correct? I think this is completely accurate for me. The one thing is obviously I'm not extremely private because I am putting part of myself out on the internet. Granted, it's under a pen name, but I do feel I'm an open book. If you actually were to get to know me, I have no problem discussing things that happen in my life and you know, even not so good things. But other than that, I definitely am, especially when it comes to I'm not going to go into like, oh yes, I am creative and amazing and all the other things. I think the better thing to focus on is the weaknesses. So I definitely am, I am pretty sensitive and perfectionistic. I'm trying really hard to get to a better point, especially as a writer, because you know, obviously as a writer, people will always have opinions, and they will always there will always be something that they feel like could improve your work. And so it's you know, when I first finished my manuscript and I sent it to a bunch of beta readers, it was like every single feedback that was not, this is perfect, leave it exactly the way it is, you know. It took like a bit of a gut punch, you know, when I first heard it, but I am slowly but surely working on it. I'm getting better at taking in the criticism and recognize it for what it is, and being able to take what I want and leave the rest. Question number 4. How do you feel your personality affects your writing? I think my personality type is kind of ideal for writing in terms of like, at least if I'm writing for myself. If I'm writing for, you know, like if I'm sending it to beta readers, like I mentioned, sometimes I can get a little bit on the inside. I never am outwardly like, oh, like that really hurt my feelings or something, because most of the time I'm fortunate that my beta readers are very conscious of the fact that they are reviewing a creative work, and that, you know, this is something that I worked a lot on, and so they are not going to like just be like, it's stupid and dumb and I don't like it. I'm an introvert, so like I spend, you know, writing is, this is one of the truest things, but writing is a solo sport. I just realized that Chloe is sitting here in her bed. I thought she was downstairs. Hi, baby girl. Because I have the feeling and the intuitive traits, I think that helps me. That might be why I'm such an outliner. I want to see the big picture of my book before I even get started. And then I also tend to really gravitate towards character-based stories. I want to get in their head. I want to be really like, you know, I want to really know them, and try to portray their character through my writing. I think also the combination of my intuitive big picture thinking and also my judging, which is like the planning oriented, I think both of those really can combine to be a good indicator of why I enjoy outlining before I start writing, and why I feel so lost if I don't outline. Question 5. Have you ever written a character with your personality type? If so, describe them. I have written several characters that have a similar personality type to mine. In my most recent manuscript, the main character, Heather, she is one half of the paranormal romance duo of that novel, and she is kind of a blend of myself and my mom. We both have the same personality type, but we have obviously differing life experiences. So this character has a lot of like the small mannerisms of us, but is also a, you know, just very kind, caring, strong woman, which, you know, that's like my mom. Question 6. Do you struggle to write characters that would have a different personality type than you? Yes. Yes, I do. Actually, one of the things I will do when I'm trying to come up with a character that is very different to my own personality, I find myself sometimes writing the character as if they're me, and that's obviously not good. So the character either has to have some sort of really very clear personality. One of the things I like to do if I'm trying to write a character that is very different from my own, I will do usually 2 things. The first thing I will do is I will go onto the 16 Personalities website, and I will look through various personality types that I think might fit this character, because there are lots of resources on the website that will tell you exactly what the strengths and weaknesses are of that personality type, and that can help inform the character. And then the second thing I will do is I will make a single sentence, usually hopefully within you know, 5 words or so, just a very small sentence that completely encapsulates that character's mindset and that character's like outlook on life. So for my fantasy novel, Burning at Both Ends, my main character, Arya, is a 9-year-old slave girl who has the personality type of ISTP, and her sentence is, Arya is invisible. I guess this is a good segue into question 7. What are your strategies to writing characters with different personality types? Like I just mentioned, you can always go to 16 Personalities website, which will help you kind of make a realistic character with both strengths and weaknesses that are a different personality type than your own, that can help inform your character's decisions if you ever feel stuck. Number 8, what is your favorite character to write? It's kind of fitting that on the website, my personality type's character like picture is like a wizened old man. So that's my guy. I definitely prefer writing grizzled old mentor characters. I find them just to be so fun. They have so much experience, and then they also tend to play such a pivotal role in the character's progression and growth. Not to mention just like, I love the idea of like a grumpy old fart who like, you know, hates having to mentor this young girl and then slowly starts to like, you know, just really grow to love her as a person and want her to succeed. I mean, what's not to love about that? Question 9, what types of books do you like to read and write, and what is so appealing about those genres? My favorite books to read and write tend to be romance novels and also fantasy novels. I love the way that romance novels, they really, I think it should be pretty apparent that the reason why I like romance novels is because of my feeling portion of my personality type. You know, obviously romance novels are all about emotion. They're all about falling in love and having a complicated character that has an issue, and then now all of a sudden they have to overcome said issue in order to win the girl or the boy or the what have you. And then also fantasy novels can have really strong character interactions, as well as they're such an interesting creative outlet. Really anything goes. You could have your world, as long as your world makes some semblance of logical sense, the sky's the limit. You can do a world that's underneath the ocean. You could do a world that's up in the sky. You can do a world that's loosely based on the present, but maybe has magical elements to it. There's mountains and mountains of different lore and, you know, stories and stuff that you can pull things from and just kind of mash it all together and to make your own little creative world. And I love that world building aspect of it. All right, and now we're into the last question, which is just to tag people. I'm just going to pick people that I think might have a different personality type than I do. I might be wrong. But these are some of my favorite author tubers that put out amazing content all the time, and they are just such a joy to watch. So I wanted to tag them. So the first person I'm going to tag is Sarah over at I Got a Blank Page, and then I'm going to tag writer Marcus Regius, and then I also want to tag Laura Wrights, and I think all 3 of them will have very interesting things to say for this tag. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.